knows the secret.
Dear friend and follower, today I'd like to talk to you about my new book, what's called The Hangman of Abu Ghraib. I wrote this book with a friend of mine, his name JP Rose, and I let him start talking to you for a start.
Latif, Yahia, and JP Rose present a new book. The Hangman of Abu Ghraib. The true story of one man's life and the deaths of thousands of others. One man. Two regimes. The same order from both. In this book, it tells the inside story of all the torture and executions that took place. Under both the Saddam Hussein and American regimes. Kill for us or be killed by us. The Hangman of Abu Ghraib. Available now.
The world has a new literary hero, and he's not Western or American. He's Iraqi and he's Shia, surprisingly enough. Now, I've read hundreds of books and seen hundreds of movies as well. But I've never known a story like Abd Ali's. He was born in 1937, and the book goes right up to 2007 when he told his story to Latif, Yahia. It's quite mind-blowing what he managed to pack into those 70 years. In this time, he was a father, a builder, a prisoner, an assassin, an executioner, and a freedom fighter, and then a refugee. Every chapter of the book, you'll never guess what's going to come next, even though I've hinted at it just then. You will never guess the emotional turmoil the man goes through in just about every day of his life. It'll make you glad that you live whatever life you do live and not his life. And you'll be amazed that anyone could actually survive such a life.
In 2007, I went to Syria to meet my family after 18 years of separation with my family, my mother, brother, sisters. Accidentally, through my brother, I met Abd Ali, the man what he was, his job in Iraq as a hangman of Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib is the prison, famous prison in Iraq, and everything come out, especially after 2003 when America and coalition has been invade Iraq, and especially when they start publish the picture about the torture there. Abd Ali is a very, I can't say strange character, but very, very honest. He was very supportive with me when I start writing his story. In 2007, I sit with Abd Ali, sometime in his home, sometime in my suite in the hotel, and we went through a lot of things, what's happened, and how he started his childhood, and how start his life, and how he become this kind of job, what is very strange to have it at the time.
Now, even before I could read, my father used to read to me as a small child adventure books, picture books, and he used to tuck the book alongside the bed against the wall, so I go to sleep with a picture of Long John Silver or someone like that. And I love action books and action heroes. Most of them are completely fictitious, but this guy, he outdoes everyone. He makes Jason Bourne and James Bond look mundane. And it's not as if he is the typical action hero. He's just an ordinary guy who is influenced by circumstance and politics around him. And he struggles through it. And the main thing that you're going to like about him, despite the fact he does so many bad things, you're going to think, oh my God, he's absolutely terrifying. And physically he's terrifying too, is the emotional bond you're going to have with him. Because when I was first told about the book, and it was called The Hangman of Abu Ghraib, I thought, well, it's about a guy in Abu Ghraib who's going to hang a lot of people. And to be honest, he probably won't be that nice a person, but it'll be an interesting book. But it's not. It's an emotional journey, the like of which you'll never have experienced in your life, because I haven't. It'll have you in tears, and it'll shock you in a lot of places too. And you're going to think, is that actually believable? But when you check the circumstance, the politics of the day, and when you read his words, you will find that you are completely captivated by him. And you'll be amazed that someone who does so many bad things, you still love and root for every turn of the page.
After I heard the story of Abd Ali, everyone know or read maybe my book, The Devil's Double or The Black Hole, maybe watched my movie, The Devil's Double. In the beginning, what happened to me in Iraq, I was thinking, you know, I was victim, I was that. After I heard Abd Ali's story, my story compared to this man was absolutely zero. When you go to read this book, you got to see the different what the politicians do in this world, what the difference between the humanity and to be turn a person from human to animal. And sometimes even the animal feels sorry for what they do, but to turn a person to a machine, a killing machine for a reason, politic, religion, anything else, protect leaders, and the other side, I put it as defense of his country.
Now, like most people, I'm not very interested in politics. It affects us, but I'm tired of politicians. And I know nothing about the politics of Iraq. But through this man, you experience the journey of how Iraq progressed from a monarchy into communism during the Cold War, into the Ba'ath Party, which was Arab nationalism, into the freedom and democracy that the coalition invasion allegedly brought to Iraq. And you'll find out exactly what that freedom and democracy meant through an ordinary Iraqi's eyes. And I think you'll be pretty appalled at it and pretty horrified, which is what I was when I found out how he thought and what he'd seen, you know, the British and American do, and how he felt about the invasion, and how he felt about Saddam Hussein, which again was a shock to me because I thought the guy was a dictator and nothing much more than that. I didn't realise quite, you know, the love, I can say that, the love he felt for his country and what he did for that country to edge it towards a more Western lifestyle, and how he, you know, he wasn't that, well, strict about religion. You could basically worship what you want. You could drink if you wanted, drink alcohol. You know, and nowadays you can't do a lot of those things in certain areas of Iraq.
This character was very strange to describe him, and I can't describe him in this video how exactly. I think after a long years since 2007 up till now 2015. We went through all the details, and especially me, and especially the investigation I did here and there, to make sure every word come out was true, every word has been put it in a place, to not after a few months comes some, you know, and a stupid journalist here and there, paid journalist, to write something again, make some name for himself. But I was so proud to meet this man. Even this man, he took a life of thousands of people, you know, between my calculating, between what he said to me and the years he worked, I put it between 12 to 15,000 minimum he killed.
The main theme in the book is loyalty, and the central character is very loyal to his family. He had a lot of brothers and sisters. He was very loyal to his employers, whoever they were, who looked after him. And he was very loyal, first and foremost, to his country, which I am as well, which you might think is surprising because I'm a British person writing a glowing account of an Iraqi at times when obviously Iraq and Britain are not exactly seeing eye to eye with each other. But I do believe that above your country you have a responsibility to tell the truth. And I think that's more important than being loyal to your country. If you know your country has done something it possibly shouldn't have done, in fact not possibly, it definitely shouldn't have done, albeit for fairly honourable motives which turned out to be completely false. And therefore I'm very proud in this book, even though I think it will actually shame a lot of people in Britain. I did not include the military in this because I think they went off to fight in Iraq with the best of intentions to serve their country. But the point is that there's certain people in Iraq now who duped this country and our military and have still got away with it. And if you're a military family and you're waiting for the Chilcot report to come out, then I would ask you to read the book and to actually form your own opinions of what an ordinary Iraqi's opinion would be, not of your soldiers who went over there, but of our country in general at this precise moment of time. When we commissioned the Chilcot report in 2009, and we're now in 2015, and we haven't seen it, and even the Prime Minister's embarrassed by the fact that it hasn't been published. And there's no reason why it hasn't been published, except for the fact that they say they want to give people the chance to reply to accusations that are made in it. Well, they could have given them 2 weeks to reply, that would have been sufficient. But they've now had well over 2 or 3 months, and they still haven't published that report. This book is the Chilcot report, seen through Iraqi eyes. It tells everything about the build-up to the invasion and the aftermath of the invasion. And then there's also a last word forward by Latif Yahia, which brings you bang up to date to 2015 and what's happened since. And I think a lot of people in Britain are going to be very, very angry about how we went to war, and also very, very angry about how we don't admit to certain things that happened and actually do something positive about it, instead of stick our heads in the desert sand like some sort of ostrich.
It turned this man from a village man coming from a very small family, poor family, to this stage, be in a Ba'ath party in Saddam time, to be turned to work for American CIA in a prison of Abu Ghraib. And over that, what you got to find shocking, in a prison of Abu Ghraib, when the General she met him, she introduced him to the VIP visitor. What he visited Abu Ghraib prison was Donald Rumsfeld, but he was a defense minister in America. And he shook hands with Abd Ali and told him, forget the past, be one of us, we are United States, we are the strongest country in the world. This is a shocking, you know, when you see this book, and read exactly what's in it, and you know, you go page by page, you can't leave it. It's not because of my book, it's not because of the horrific picture and the investigation went through, but the story for a man to be in this situation, torn from family man, from village boy to family man to hangman to you know, I don't want to burn the story, but I think if you read the book, you know, you got to look at the world in a different way. You got to make your choice when you're watching the news, how the politician make the decision to do something around the world. I think after you read this book, a lot of things got to be changed in your head. A lot of things got to be mixed in your head, but I think is an eye-opener.
Now you might think that the central character of the book is the villain because he kills a lot of people. But in actual fact, the real villains of the book, and in the real world, if you think about it, are politicians who put him in the position that he had to do the killing, most of it anyway. And there's one politician who comes in for a lot of stick in the book, deservedly so, and his name is Ahmed al-Chalabi. Now he was the man who's known as the fabricator, who was in Britain in the 90s telling the world, and particularly anyone who would listen, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which we all know now it didn't. You know from the book that the ordinary Iraqi, he didn't even know what weapons of mass destruction was, but he questioned why, if they had them, they hadn't used them in certain situations. So he didn't think that they had them, and he also knew the UN Weapons Inspectorate had gone in and searched just about everywhere. So he was pretty convinced they didn't have them. But we still went to war. And the point is this: if you've lost someone or suffered any sort of injury because of the war, then there's one man who a lot of the blame can be laid upon. And it's not Tony Blair or George Bush, although obviously they were complicit in it. It is this man, Ahmed al-Chalabi. And it defies my everything about the world that this man can get away with doing what he's done, and is now sat in Qusay's palace in Baghdad with billions of dollars in the cellar. And this country doesn't do anything. You know, we should be sending the SAS in and get him, you know, at the very least. But we don't do anything. We just let the situation ride. And I can't understand it. And I hope that this man's experiences, as told in the book, will actually prompt some action against that man, who is, as the hero of the book describes him as, all the James Bond villains rolled into one, who's duped the world and got away with it. And he shouldn't be allowed to. And I hope this book, and this man's testimony of the chaos that al-Chalabi has caused, actually prompts some action. And also prompts the Chilcot report to be published as fast as possible so some action can be taken against him. Because there's no justice in the world at the moment with people like that still free.
On another side, what I believe, as my lawyer advised me, and a few friends read the book before being published and printed, they say to me, are you sure, Latif, you want to put that? Because it does not affect Abd Ali's life now, what you don't know. Where is he anymore? Because we are separated, me and him, because the war in Syria like that. But got to put your life in a dangerous. Maybe you got to be assassinated, you be killed because politician and government, they don't want the truth come out. And I believe this book got to be banned again in America, and any country has been involved with the coalition of America, what they did in Iraq. This book got to be catastrophic for a lot of politicians, for a lot of puppets what America put in Iraq as a leaders. Got to explain details, especially about Ahmed al-Chalabi, as they call it, the fabricator of Iraq war. The man, what I wrote about him long time ago, he was Saddam Hussein double agent between Saddam and America. And America at the time, they didn't take my word I'm talking about 20 years ago, and I told them exactly this word. This man is a double agent, and I give them the proof. But they was with the agenda. They don't want to bring somebody he's clear. Must they have some dirt in him to end one day if he turn against them, they can take all the dirt out.
One of the things you take from the book is that the character is Iraqi first and Shia second. And he's very proud of his country, and he's very proud of being loyal to Iraq. And that's the reason why a lot of the politicians that are in power there now, who fled Iraq under Saddam, probably for good reason, but went back with a British passport or an American passport in their back pocket, can never be seen by ordinary Iraqis as true leaders, because they've taken an oath of loyalty to a different country. And once they've been bought by that country, you cannot say that they accurately represent Iraqis, because if anything goes wrong, they know that they're just going to jump on a plane and go back to Britain or America or wherever they've got their other passport. And that's a really important point, because everything in the book the guy does, he does it for his country. And one of the things he most respects in the book is when Saddam could have left the country, could have fled. He didn't. He stayed to fight or to support his people. And none of the politicians that seem to be in power in Iraq now did that. And therefore they'll never be accepted by the Iraqi people. And so therefore, might as well get rid of them now and start trying to find some new ones, or let the Iraqis trying to find some people that they respect, instead of us force feeding them people that have no right to be respected by anyone, because they're basically traitors to their country.
I'm talking about a lot of stories has been published in this book. You never read it before and never was in the media. I'm not doing advertisement for this book. This book going to be catastrophic for and shameful for a lot of country, Western country, America, Britain, Spain, all the countries has been involved in Iraq war, and up till now, since 2003 or nearly end of 2015, still Iraq, bloodshed everywhere, killing, murdering refugees, everything.
I think probably the most shocking thing in the book is the fact that, without a doubt, the British and Americans went into Iraq with the best intentions in the world. But it all went horribly wrong, and in such a dramatic and spectacularly bad way that I can't believe that we haven't really held up our hands and apologised in a major way, and yet we still seem to be covering it all up. And one of the things, I couldn't believe some of the things he described in the book that we were complicit in, and it's just appalling. And everything that I grew up with, which is all how we'd fought the Nazis in the Second World War, the dam busters, cocker shell heroes, the whole lot. I was so proud of this country, I can't tell you. And in the space of a few months, hearing what this guy had seen and witnessed, it's not that my pride of the country went, but I just think we need to sort of reevaluate everything we do and make ever so sure that we never go to war like that ever again, without a United Nations backing and all the other countries backing us and going as a united force rather than individuals, because we seem to be completely unaccountable to anyone, and we're still unaccountable. The Chilcot report still hasn't been published, and that's not acceptable, and it just loses us the respect of the entire world. And I'm not just talking about getting 0 points in the Eurovision Song Contest, I'm talking about ordinary people around the world, how they see Britain. And to be honest, how this guy sees us and how I see us now is very, very tarnished, and we need to do a heck of a lot of work to get us back to being a respected nation again. One of the other important things the book does is it sort of explains how, after the American invasion and British invasion basically failed, it explains how we got to the situation that Iraq and virtually the whole of the Middle East is erupting into day by day. And it's very important because the guy who's the hero is Shia, and yet he finds himself supporting Sunni, and that doesn't happen nowadays. You know, it's a very clear divide between the religious groups. And one of the things that Saddam seems to have done quite well, judging by the book and this fellow's testimony, is he did seem to get them living together quite peacefully for a number of decades. And the other thing is that everyone in Britain, and I suppose America as well, is very anti-Islamic State and very supportive of the Shia militia. And yet, this guy, he actually fought with the Sunni, and since we've been writing the book, a lot of stuff has come in from Shia militia, gloating about what they've been doing to the Sunni. And it's, in my opinion, some of the images that I've seen are more horrific than some of the things I've seen Islamic State do. I.e. they're doing them to children, small, innocent children. And to me, it's unbelievable the West doesn't pick up on this and withdraw some support for them, because I don't see how you can tolerate it. And some of the images are actually in the back of the book. It's Latif Yahia's last word forward, when he brings you up to date from 2007, when we leave the character, up to today. And I would urge everyone to have a very careful read of his last word forward and have a very careful look at the photographs, and then just make your own conclusion about what we should be doing in the Middle East. And my opinion is what the Americans said before they changed their mind, which is that Arab to Arab conflicts are best sorted out by Arabs without any Western interference. And I believe that if we'd allowed them to do that, the Middle East would not be the melting pot it is today, with the temperature rising by the day. One of the things that Western people feel most uncomfortable about is the way that Islamic State have been beheading people. And that is truly shocking. And I thought that that was quite a new phenomena. But from this man's account in the book, it seemed to be fairly commonplace. I mean, I remember as a schoolboy watching a documentary, Death of a Princess, and I think that shocked the whole country, that a Saudi princess was beheaded. And yet, I remember my schoolmaster at the time saying, well, Henry VIII beheaded 2 of his wives. And then we all said, well, that was hundreds of years ago. And he said, yeah, but not everyone develops, not every country develops quite the same pace. You know, some of them keep their traditions going a bit more. And it's very interesting because at one point, this man in the book, he does carry out some pretty horrific murders. And the reason he does them is exactly the same reason that Islamic State beheaded, you know, certain hostages. Exactly the same. Is to shock people in a submission and obedience. And to me is quite telling. And it's very interesting to see how it is duplicated a decade or so later. An interesting aspect of the book is how the political scene has changed so much in Iraq. It starts off in 1937 when Abd Ali is born with a monarchy, and then that is replaced by a communist Shia brigadier who became president, and he was in power during the Cold War. And then the Americans supported the Ba'ath Party, who are basically Arab nationalists but socialists as well, so they're very close to the communist brigadier, but they seized power from him. And then it became quite, as far as I can see from the book and the man's testimony, it seemed to become quite capitalist, and Western influence crept in a lot under Saddam, who was often seen in Western suits, unlike the Iranian Ayatollah Khomeini at the time. And then you'd think that when America goes in there, that was a big opportunity for them to become fully Westernized, but now it seems to have gone completely back to Islamic. You know, Islamic State, Islamic, you know, the Shia militia. And that's a great pity. But the point is this, you see it swing from one extreme to the other. It starts off as a monarchy, it becomes communist, it goes to Arab nationalism, and then it goes to Western democracy. And then it went back, it's gone back now, to Islamic fanaticism. and one wonders where it's going to go next. But I'm sure where it's going next, the secret is in the book. The book gives you a real insight into Arabic traditions and mindset, and also how they think, or how this particular man thinks. And I don't think he was untypical of a lot of Arabs. I've learnt so much from helping to write this book that I now can look at the news and everything, and I can almost predict what's going to happen. And so you might think that's not, you can't do that, but I can assure you there's so much information in this book, and things do tend to happen in cycles. History repeats itself. So have a good read and see if you can work out what's going to happen next in the Middle East. I think one of the most depressing aspects of the book was how Iraq, under Saddam, certainly in the 70s and 80s, was moving very steadily towards a very Western country, moving away from Abd Ali's sort of very Islamic childhood into him becoming a Westerner. He virtually was a Westerner at one time. You know, he loved American movies. He had no problem with America. And then you think, well, when America goes into Iraq, there's a big opportunity, really, to sort of completely win them over. And yet what it did was it actually turned them off Western culture in an unbelievable way. And I can fully understand it from the way they behaved when they got in there. It's just unbelievable. People are not going to believe what the sort of things the Americans did in Abu Ghraib. And yet there's photographs and eyewitness accounts to prove exactly what this guy witnessed. And a lot of people in the West will be horrified at what he describes. I was shocked. And again, we need to sort of sort it out. There needs to be not an inquiry that's going to go on for another dozen years, but a very, very quick admission and what we're going to do to sort it out, if we can sort it out, because now everything's moved on and you've now got different conflicting parties that are deeply, deeply divided. And one of the things that I found very upsetting, because we're just finishing writing the book at the time, was that British Prime Minister David Cameron gave a speech about Islamic State. And one of the things he expressed his hope for, which I'm sure we all do, is that one day Shia and Sunni will live together in peace again. And what he seemed to have forgotten was that Saddam Hussein seemed to have achieved that in many, many ways, and was edging Iraq towards a more Western life. You know, there was alcohol was available, and shops, you know, everything, the suits, the designer stuff, everything was there. It was so. If you'd have told me when I was a small boy that the ultimate book hero was not going to be King Arthur, Robin Hood, it was going to be an Iraqi peasant, I would have found unbelievable. But I found the whole book unbelievable, and I can assure you this man will be a legend in literary circles and hopefully in movies for years to come. Forget James Bond, forget Tony Montana, forget Jason Bourne. The hero of the day is Abd Ali, because he's an honest bloke and he can kill people like you won't believe, but he can also forgive and love them at the same time.
You got to see after then how the Shia militia, what they do in Iraq. Even Abd Ali, the man, the life, the story of this man in this book is a Shia man, but he was Iraqi before he be a Shia, and he was proud of his country, proud for even his job. He was proud. He turned even a freedom fighter in the end against America, and he killed a lot of them. And he worked as a sniper too. And read, I think, the book, and you got to know what's going on in the world. A lot of people, they say to me, they got to put your life in danger. For me, as I said before, and I say it again, I'm rather to die my head up, better to be slave for the government. I hope you enjoy the book, is available in this website, available in Amazon UK, available in Kindle, available in iTunes, and they can't stop it anymore. Read it, write your review, bad or good, and pass the message. Have a good day.